Hello everyone and welcome back to the 12 Days of Film. I'm reviewing a different movie from 2023 every single day, and today I'm talking about Knock at the Cabin, the latest film by the one and the only M. Night Shyamalan. The man who's had a career of many ups and downs. First he was the great M. Night Shyamalan, the guy who made Signs, The Sixth Sense, The Village, Top of the World, and then he made Avatar, The Happening, After Earth, and then he kind of came back with Split. And now we've reached the magic place where we don't know what this man is capable of anymore. We have no idea the quality of this man's films. It's just hitting a dartboard at this point. And that's exactly what happens with Knock at the Cabin. I will say this film kind of disappointed me. I actually was pretty excited. I like the idea of Batista leading a cult with Ron Weasley as his boy, and them going into this house like the strangers and forcing them to decide between killing themselves or the entire world ends. That seemed like an interesting premise. But a film like this, one set, one location, can only work if it's written really well. And if you know anything about M. Night Shyamalan, he's not a great writer. But if there's one thing that did save this movie, it is the cast. Again, my boy Dave Batista slamming Undertaker around, Drax, he can do it all, and he can carry this film if he needs to. Like I said, Ron Weasley at his helm. I'm sorry that I only know that guy for being Ron Weasley, but that's your curse, man. There's worse ones you could have. And everyone else was, for the most part, serviceable. Some were pretty good. The child actor was not very good. For whatever reason, M. Night Shyamalan loves filming kids. I know that sounds weird, but he loves putting film... How do I phrase this? M. Night Shyamalan loves casting kids in his movies because he thinks kids offer that, more genuine reaction to things. They're more lifelike and real. And shout out to, Haley Joel Osment. He's had some talented kids on his set, but this was not one of them. And I don't even know if it's this kid's fault or most of the kids he puts in his movies' fault, because he just has scripts that I swear to God just say act stoically and don't say anything while the camera is right up in your face. There's only so many performers who are going to get a good performance out of his movies because they're handicapped. Movies like Signs, The Lady at the Water, The Happening, they throw in these weird, quirky characters, but doesn't give them anything to do other than acting stoic. And it doesn't help that with this film, we're not introduced to these characters. They're not getting into the car and going on the trip. We aren't introduced to the cult members as they assemble their Avengers team. Instead, it's just Dave Batista already walking up on the house. The little girl's playing outside. He's ready. We just jump into it. There's not time to really care about these characters. They're already fighting for their lives by the time we know their names. And the idea of this film is that this family has to choose each other or face the end of the world, but we're not really sure if the end of the world is actually happening. And we learn this via things that are happening on the TV, and they don't know if it's actually happening or if these people faked it. And you're in a lose-lose scenario. Either it actually is happening and, that's the answer. It's not a super interesting conclusion. Or it's not happening and these are super culty people, and you're just setting up two lanes that this movie can go down. Either they're lying or they're not lying, and that's what we focus on for the whole movie, and you're never satisfied because it's just oh, I guess they weren't lying, or I guess they were. By the end, this is a slight spoiler, but a lot of these reviews I'm doing for the 12 days are spoilery. So basically it is revealed to us that these four chosen ones, they are the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and they spoon feed that idea to you if you couldn't pick it up already. Right when you kind of piece it together, they're just oh, here you go. And I swear to God, I've seen trailers where they talk about that. You don't have fucking cool ideas and then you make it practically written on the front of their shirt. If there's one thing this movie does, it deflates on itself. You don't really care about the end of the world because it's something that's happening in the background. It doesn't feel like there's any consequence to it, and you don't get a satisfactory conclusion with this family. All the other characters are basically set up to die like at dominoes, and they do. So it's not like you get a big twist like a lot of his movies do. It just happens very by the numbers, and by the end, it breaks its own rules because they establish right away that, oh, the entire family has to decide who dies between the three of them, and then the little girl is just like not included at all. So it's like, okay, so now that the entire cast is dead, the end of the world happened, and we barely got to see it, what is there left to care about? That's what I mean when this film deflates on itself. It's one of those movies that, as it's happening, you don't think it's that bad. I honestly thought I was going to give it an 8 out of 10 at one point, and then a 7, and then it just, again, deflates, and you're like, oh, that was probably one of the worst things I watched this year. You remember what I said earlier about M. Night Shyamalan's movies just being a dartboard in terms of quality? It could land anywhere. It landed on a solid 6 out of 10. It's not a film that I despised as I was watching it. It's not a film I have much good things to say about it either, but I will say I don't regret watching it either. I kind of feel bad, because like, I wanted M. Night Shyamalan to get like that little comeback. I want him to, you know, flourish, and because M. Night Shyamalan was like the comeback guy for a little bit, and he was just trying to make all these little films, and he's finally given like a bigger film, and it's not very good. But that's about all I got for this one. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next film. Thank you for watching, and until next time, with that, I leave.